We are often presented with a specific image of the last queen of Egypt, a tragic romantic who used milk baths and silk to manipulate the men who controlled Rome. That narrative was designed and funded by this man, Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus. He was the architect of the campaign to destroy her reputation after he dismantled her kingdom. Behind the propaganda was a trained chemist, a fluent linguist, and a master tactician who successfully held off Roman expansion for over 2 decades. Every surviving record of her life was curated by the regime that murdered her, leaving behind a state-sanctioned fiction that has endured for 2,000 years. To understand Cleopatra, look at the map Alexander the Great left behind. His empire fractured into 3, with Egypt ruled by a Greek dynasty. For 3 centuries, they ruled from Alexandria, speaking Greek, isolated from the Egyptian subjects they governed. Her lineage traces back to Ptolemy I, one of Alexander's Macedonian generals who seized the Egyptian throne for himself. Cleopatra was the first in her entire 300-year line to learn the native Egyptian language, bridging the gap between the palace and the people for the first time. Beyond her linguistic skills, ancient sources describe her studying natural medicine and toxicology, conducting her own research into chemistry and pharmaceuticals. She relied on an exhaustive work ethic and her specialized education to keep her rivals at a disadvantage, managing her court through technical and political expertise. By 48 BC, that expertise was a matter of survival. Advisors to her 10-year-old brother and co-ruler had forced her out of the capital, leaving her in exile and marked for death. Her opportunity for a return arrived with Julius Caesar. He landed in Alexandria while pursuing a rival, putting the future of the Egyptian throne at the center of a Roman civil war. Surviving accounts describe her being smuggled past guards inside a heady sack, a tactical move to bypass loyalists and reach Caesar's quarters undetected. Caesar required a stable flow of Egyptian grain and tax revenue to fund his own wars. The angular, unglamorized profile she chose for this silver coin suggests he found a capable financial and strategic partner rather than a romantic distraction. Their alliance was a pragmatic merger between 2 political heavyweights who needed each other's resources to maintain their respective grips on power. When Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC, Cleopatra lost her primary Roman protector. She was suddenly stranded, with Egypt's borders once again vulnerable to Roman instability. She identified the Roman general Mark Antony as her next necessary ally to secure her kingdom's eastern flank. To meet him, she staged an elaborate arrival on a gilded barge with purple sails, modeling her appearance after the goddess Aphrodite. Antony famously associated himself with the god Dionysus. Cleopatra curated this pageantry to appeal directly to his public image, using religious symbolism as a tool of statecraft. By managing her public arrival with such precision, she controlled the narrative of the alliance before a single word of negotiation was spoken. In Rome, Octavian recognized that he could not legally declare war on a fellow Roman like Antony without risking a public revolt. His solution was to seize Antony's private will and read its contents to the Senate, highlighting Antony's plans to grant Roman territories to Cleopatra and their children. Octavian weaponized this information, rebranding the conflict as a crusade against a foreign witch who had supposedly used drugs and spells to unman a Roman general. The campaign worked, turning the Roman public against the couple and leading to the decisive naval defeat at the Battle of Actium. Rome's victory was achieved as much through this legal and cultural rebranding as it was through naval force, casting Cleopatra as a monster to justify a war of conquest. After Actium, the Roman legions closed in on Alexandria. With her defenses gone and her capital surrounded, Cleopatra retreated to her private quarters. Antony committed suicide as the city fell. Octavian planned to take the queen alive, intending to parade her through Rome in iron chains as the center of his victory celebration. When Octavian's men broke into her chamber, they found her already dead, arranged in her royal robes on a golden couch. Even in absolute defeat, she executed a final move that robbed the future emperor of his public triumph, ending the war on her own terms. The legend of the venomous asp bite remains popular, though modern toxicologists suggest such a method would have been messy and unreliable for a woman who valued control. Based on her documented knowledge of chemistry, historians argue she likely utilized a lethal toxin of her own design to ensure a composed and predictable end. Octavian attempted to bury the reality of her scientific and political mind beneath a cautionary tale of a dangerous temptress, a narrative his historians maintained for centuries. Despite those efforts, the facts of her reign endure. Cleopatra is remembered as a linguist, a scholar, and one of the most resilient political operators of the ancient world, outlasting the empire that tried to erase her.